Welcome back to the Third and Wrong YouTube channel. This is Dylan, your host for the day. I'm rocking solo just because Gage and Mike, for some reason, don't like recording on Sunday, and they just might be a little underwhelmed from their game this week. But you got me today. We're going to do specifically a Week 6 Colts reaction. Got a big win over the Jaguars, spoiler alert. And if we're going to get into this video, go ahead and go give us a like, give us a comment, maybe something that you like about the Colts or something like that, or what you hate about the Colts too. And then if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and click that real quick. Helps us out a bunch. So other than that, we're going to get into the video.
Running from the police in my trap shoes. Posted trying to flip 100, I come back full. Come from nothing, but I blossom to a tycoon. Betrayal scars, can't stop thinking about them stab wounds. We might not catch him today, but he gon' die soon.
All right, after that sweet intro video, we are ready to get into this. Basically, like I said before, we're going to cover the Week 6 Colts game. Was a little bit of a mess to begin with, but we got that dub. So I'm just going to kind of give my thoughts on this, what I feel like the Colts did right. And if you haven't already watched my video from about 2 days ago, I kind of predicted this in a way. I'm not going to be, Mr. Big Brain over here predicting everything, but the Colts did what I thought they should done. What they should have done. So, yeah, we'll just get right into it. So, the crazy part of it is the last video I did, we knew that Shaq Leonard was going to be out, and we knew Kwity Paye was going to be out, but we didn't know that both Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines were going to be out. And I wonder how much of that was Frank Reich just holding things close to his chest and not giving anything away for the Jaguars to prepare for. But surprisingly, as far as what the rhetoric was for the week, both Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor were out, and we really leaned on Deion Jackson to really take up the slack in that department. And getting into the game, we'll talk more about him. But that was a little bit of a surprise. We were also given news that Sam Ehlinger was given the quarterback, not given, he earned the quarterback 2 spot, and he was going to be the only one dressing as a backup for Matt Ryan, which is a change that we didn't think was going to happen, especially with Frank Reich's love for Nick Foles, Big Dick Nick. But Sam Ehlinger definitely outperformed Nick Foles in the preseason. He has a little bit more mobility than Nick Foles has right now, and it gives more creativity on the goal line, red zone, and everything like that. And he's a young guy. He's got a lot of potential ahead of him still. He seems like one of those guys that really, takes it upon himself to be better. So I'm really good to see that from Sam Ehlinger. But the Colts also brought up Philip Lindsay and Devontae Price for, to dress this week. And we didn't really get to see Devontae Price, but it was good to see that Deion Jackson was, carrying his own for the game. But the other things too, I think, surprising that we let Desmond Patton go to the practice squad. We signed Kiki Kuti to the active roster right before the game, and unless I'm missing anything big, that was kind of more of the transactions for this week, kind of setting up for the game against the Jaguars. So that's kind of like the preemptive recap of what the Colts went through this week. And the other thing I wanted to say too is my last video, if you haven't watched it, I did say that the Colts needed to find a way to get Dennis Kelly onto the offensive line in whatever way they can. And I did say that we can't have Danny Pinter at right guard, and we can't have Matt Pryor at right tackle. And I suggested that they should go Bernhard Raimann, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Matt Pryor, and Braden Smith, and that's what they started the game off with. And surprisingly, I don't know if it's for injury reasons or not, but Dennis Kelly did come in and played pretty much most of the game at left tackle, which I was saying that he probably was going to be on the right side, but Dennis Kelly filled in that left tackle just fine. I did say that Dennis Kelly has experience. He's depth quality at least, and was able to hold his own in Green Bay and Tennessee before this. So I don't know why they didn't give him a chance before now, but glad they did. I wonder how much of them putting him in for the rest of the game was because of Bernhard Ryman's playing status or injury status. But I'm sure we'll hear more about that as the week goes on. But I'm not trying to say this as I got everything right, because I didn't. But um, one of the things that I've made a big point on was that Frank Reich is almost scared to go out and get points. He's counting on points being not there later. Is kind of one of the things that I said, and that they can't just keep running it on first and second down and hoping that they're head of the sticks enough to run a play to get them their first down. And what happened this week was that Matt Ryan, Frank Reich, and everyone got prepared to run a lot of no huddle. They kept the Jaguars defense on the field. They made it difficult for their defensive line to get Matt Ryan with a lot of quick throws, and they just passed the ball, basically neglecting the run game almost entirely, outside of a few carries by Deion Jackson and a few carries from Philip Lindsay. But other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of running, and that just shows you the amount of trust that they have on this offensive line. Sorry, how much trust they have in this offensive line running the ball right now. So, I feel good with the outcome, but obviously it's not sustainable against every single defense. So, we still got to make headway in the run game, and hopefully having Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines on the field will allow us to do that. If you see me looking over here, that's because I'm looking at my monitor. So I know that for me that's weird, but we'll just roll with it. But yeah, anyways, the Jaguars got off to a hot start. I want to say they got up 14-0 on the Colts pretty quick. We responded with, here, let me just pull this up. I don't want to get things wrong. I'm flying blind right now. Okay. All right. So yeah, the score went 7. Trevor Lawrence had a nice quarterback sneak in the first quarter. We kicked a field goal. They got another touchdown, and then that's when things started to pick up for the Colts. So the story of the first half was the Jaguars were just running over the Colts, which we had only allowed 98 yards per game, and I think they had over 100 yards in the first half. And most of it came from JaMychal Hasty's 61-yard run, which I'm not calling him out because he's bad this whole year, but that is Rodney Thomas's fault on that one as far as allowing it to be a touchdown. But it is something to give credit to the Jaguars' offensive line and just their whole unit blocking for that run. It really popped JaMychal Hasty out. But Rodney Thomas really bit on the play fake going the other way and put him in a terrible position. With him being the single high safety, that's his responsibility, is to not let that kind of play happen. So rookie mistake. We're able to overcome it, but that's just something to point out there. But other than that, I mean, Paris Campbell had a great game. He got our first touchdown of the game with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, and then we got back right on into that no huddle game. And Chase McLaughlin, been a great solid kicker for us this whole time. Knocked in a field goal to get us into that 14-13 going into the half, rather than being down 2 scores or however it was looking. So good on the offense there, getting 3 scores in the first half. Big improvement, even though it was just 13 points. We got into the red zone quite a bit, and that helped us out quite a lot. So but one thing I do want to say is, props to Trevor Lawrence this game. He's still one of those quarterbacks that we're going to have a problem with for a long time. especially playing him 2 times a year. We're giving him almost an 80% completion percentage every game, and I think he had just about that. Yeah, 20 for 22, just dinking and dunking. We gave them everything underneath that they wanted. Um, but the other thing too is near the end of the third quarter, there was a big stop by EJ Speed and I want to say who's our DN from Ohio State. Taekwon Lewis, I think, was in on that play where the Jaguars tried to run a speed option to get the fourth down, and we made a very solid stop. EJ Speed forced the pitch and then tackled the person that received the pitch, which is just an unbelievable athletic play there. It shows you why they don't run it in the NFL as much as this. There's too much speed in the NFL, and you can't really take advantage of defenses like that anymore. But yeah, going along with the rest of the game, it was more of a story of the Colts just being able to make completions and being able to convert into touchdowns, which that is a improvement, which the Colts have shown that they've been able to do the last couple of years. Which brings me to not the last play, but the last offensive play from the Colts. What a ballsy call from Frank Reich. What trust that they have in Alec Pierce. What trust that Matt Ryan has in Alec Pierce as well. And you could kind of not see that this was coming, but you kind of understand why this play was called. Earlier in the game, they called something very similarly, but Alec Pierce got held, like very bad one. He was one-on-one with number 28 of the Jaguars. He's a small corner, and there was 4 or 5 flags at the ground at the feet of this cornerback who held on to Alec Pierce and forced a pass interference. He was looking at his sideline like, what do you want me to do? Like, the guy was 5'10". Alec Pierce is what, 6'3", 6'4". Like, he's like, what do you want me to do? And that extended that drive. But I think the Colts were able to say, okay, if we get this matchup of Alec Pierce onto 28, let's throw it. Like, at worst, we're gonna get a PI. At best, we might get this. We might get this touchdown. And yeah, amazing call. Really surprised that they went for it, and almost surprised that they actually got it. But hell of a play call. I think it shows that the Colts aren't scared right now. They're just trying to figure things out. And that's the biggest thing that I was worried about, is the Colts being scared this year. And it seems like they were to start off the year, or at least they just were not prepared. But they really responded pretty well. Since going 0-1-1, they have gone 3-1 in the last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they've won 3 of the last 4 games, which is which is good. One of the things I mentioned as well in my last video is that we started off the year with 7 games with 5 AFC South matchups. In those, this is our first AFC South win, but we're 3-2-1 coming out of that. Now we have the rest of the schedule with just the Texans at the end of the year to really bring home the AFC South if we're in contention to that. So the way I want to kind of phrase this game is not necessarily like the Colts are back or anything like that, but it does show that the Colts are willing to accept where they're wrong and change and do things to be better. They're not so stubborn in their own ways, which I'm glad to see. But there is still a lot of work. The Colts need to get better at running the ball. They need to get better at not having to have Matt Ryan throw, within less than 2.5 seconds every time to get a completion. So, hell of a win. And I just want to say, like, if anyone has doubts on Matt Ryan, look at this game. Watch everything that Matt Ryan did, because there wasn't a time where Matt Ryan made a mistake. And not to say that he hasn't made mistakes before, but when he's given a good game plan, he was making throws where if it wasn't Matt Ryan there, they wouldn't be completed. And you'll see a lot of this where he was, snapped the ball, he has pressure and he moves up into the pocket and throws, maybe it's only for 8 to 10 yards, but the way that he's able to move and almost jump as he throws it was able to get around the defensive line enough to get the ball where it needs to be. And it was just a beautiful game. It wasn't pretty as far as like, just being able to sit back in a clean pocket, but just what a great game to see from Matt Ryan, where the ball is in his hands essentially the whole game, and they were able to move and move and move against this Jaguars defense, which they are good. They just have some flaws right now. So good win, but again, I just want to stress that Matt Ryan stepped up today. The I don't know who made this decision, but whether or not it was purely Frank Reich or a lot of coordinators stepping up and kind of insinuating they had to do this or something like that, but they were able to make the right change at offensive line. I think they'll continue to stick with this group and see how they can grow this group right now, because they did have a lot of success. But again, this is showing that the Colts are able to change, able to make adjustments in the middle of the year, which is good. And again, just saying, over the last 4 games, the Colts are 3-1. Obviously, the first 2 games should be winnable, and the Colts should have a better record technically. But having a streak like this is good, and we can continue to build on this. I'm not going to change my prediction from my last video, but I think we had, I think I had the Colts finishing up 9-7-1 the rest of the year and taking the AFC South if the Titans continue to be unhealthy across the board. But if the Colts really want to seal it up, they need to go 10-6-1 and steal one of the games that they probably shouldn't win and get that. So if that happens, 10-6-1 is a possibility, but I would still put my expectations about 9-7-1 at this point, and hopefully that we can take over the AFC South with a slip up from the Titans. But other than that, if you watched all this, great. This is just a Colts specific video. I don't know how much people want to watch these, so if you do like this, give me a like, give me a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Again, it really helps us out, and we want you to be a part of this. So drop that subscribe if you could. Thank you. Have a good day.